Just a little update. Hi, sweetie. Are you having a sleep? Rocky's recovering from his dental surgery, doing well, cute as ever. Last time we talked on the Zoom was with Dad and Rob, and we were talking about how we didn't get any real rain forever. That, of course, has changed. We've had a lot of rain. So it's just going to show you how green everything is. Our trees are doing well. Grass is green. So we're grateful for the rain we got. And my little corner project that I did last year with the fake grass. Right now I'm making some biscotti. This is maybe the longest I've gone for a while with an empty biscotti jar. Maybe about a month. And that is too long. So we're gonna remedy that. And now I think it's time to go to the next step. Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you. I was looking up a few things that we've discussed in Grandma's diary to get some dates. And you guys were always wondering back and forth if the year you built the machine shed was 1980 or what it was. It was 78. And
a shed, which was constructed, this particular shed was constructed in 1980, I believe. Or possibly before. I remember Grandpa being 80 years old, up on the very top of the rafters, hammering away on the sheets of metal.
And I don't know what year it was that we did that. I'm thinking it must have been about 1980 when we built that machine shed.
well, in Grandma's diary, when she's talking about it, she's just mentioning how much time Elgin is spending out building with you guys.
Okay.
There's a stretch of days where she mentions that.
It would likely have been the last summer that Wayne was home before he started doing other things, because he was there all that summer. And we didn't do any trips that year at all because we had to concentrate on getting that to fit in around all the other work that had to be done.
And it's all in Grandma's diary. I'm going to have to figure out a way to share it. It's really interesting. And
Okay.
anyway, I thought you guys might be interested to know the year.
Okay, so then it must have been the spring of 77 then, must have been the year that the shop burned out.
It was 77.
Because we didn't build a
Did you
year
think it
went
was
by.
that soon, though, that you built the machine shed? Because I thought you guys even called it Rob's last summer there, but I don't know if it was the last summer in 78. You didn't waste any time making that, did you?
Well,
That
no,
machine shed.
like I said, we had made quite a few plans ahead of time
Mm-hmm.
that was going to happen somewhere. We didn't know it was going to happen where the old shop was.
Right.
But I already had the telephone poles, and I had a plan in my head as to how that would happen. And so anyway, so
It starts on a certain date, I think in July, where you start measuring for the machine shed.
probably.
Grandma calls it the new building quite a bit, sometimes the machine shed.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I'll just talk quick because it's about to run out. You guys were saying it's not like we just shut down and built the machine shed for 2 months. It was on top of everything else that was going on at the time. And what's interesting is Grandma's entries during that time tells the story of exactly what else was going on in the yard. And I thought fascinating because it completely ties in with what you said. And Grandma would never know the importance of all of her documenting and what we're doing with that now.
Well, that's interesting.
And Grandpa would also not know how much we're admiring his trees.
True.
I kind of like both of those things. I really do.
We don't know what he knows. We hope he knows
Yeah.
something about it.
Well, I just don't think that either one of them would expect that, but might be a pleasant surprise. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a summer.
How long did it take to build that shed, start to finish, do you think?
Oh, well, we worked at it for, at least 2 months. Like I got it closed in enough so that at harvest time we could run the combine and the trucks in there. We didn't have the doors working yet, but we could get them under cover. And then, through the fall and before winter, I managed to get the doors built and hung.
Well, something to remember too is that life didn't stop. This wasn't a project where, everybody just committed to it and that was all we did for 2 months. Everything, everything else in life was going on at the same time. This was just an additional project on top of all of that.
Yeah, still had cattle, still had to cultivate the corn and sunflowers and put up hay and do all those things. Yeah.
okay, so this is how I've decided to share what's in Grandma's diary during the time that the 3 generations are building the machine shed. But I hope you find this as interesting as I do. I do think that this gives us a full circle to the story of what was happening during that busy time of putting up this new building. It's pretty exciting, really. So it starts on July 17th, and I just want to note that on July 16th, Dad had taken me to Rock Lake Camp, it says. And by the way, this is Grandma's 5-year diary from 1978 to 1982. And I had just revealed to Dad and Rob that the actual year that the machine shed got built was the summer of 1978, which follows the spring fire in 77. And I most certainly did not realize that this building went up that quickly after the fire. So again, I'm in the front row of my history lesson. Okay, so a little warning, get comfortable and settle in. I'm wearing a comfortable clothes and you should do the same. And you should not watch this when you're hungry because, well, our grandma does a lot of baking. Okay, here we go. Shower in the PM. 84 degrees and 65 degrees at bedtime. Washed and ironed and picked and froze our first beans. We cleaned our 4 new windows in the AM. Men cut hay and Bob and Wayne worked measuring for the new building. Men digging holes all day for the new building. Hazel, Pearl, and I went to Jean Smith's for afternoon tea. I picked our first peas and hoed portulaca in the PM. Picked a gallon of beans and hoed, made biscuits and rhubarb jam. Men making holes all day and cemented the bottoms of the 18 holes, finished at 10:30. Went to Winkler for Elgin's checkup. Had supper at the Pemmican Cafe in Morden, then to Albert's. Bob went to Morris Stampede after dinner. We left at 8:20 a.m. for Winkler for Dr. Jacobs to remove the lesion on Elgin's cheek. Got home at 3 and picked peas. In the PM, went to Alice Connor's, picked 12 pounds of raspberries. Picked beans and froze them. Made raspberry jelly. Men working on machine shed. Bob and Wayne played at Pilot Mound. Elgin cut the grass. I finished making my beets up. We had Ken and Letha for supper and evening. Bob took Lynn and Karen to Rock Lake Camp. Picked and froze peas and beans and washed. Elgin painted second coat on new doors. Cultivated and raked. We went to, I can't make it out, Gwen Adams' shower in the PM. Went to Winnipeg with the Finleys to Mrs. Bullock's funeral. Elgin mowing. Bob and Wayne working on the building, also raking. Picked and froze peas and beans. Bob and Wayne working on the building. Elgin mowing. Jean White and Coral came, also Lorne and Fern, to take Cheryl home. Made biscuits. Did grocery shopping. Picked peas. Men haying and working on the building. Jean, Coral, and Eleanor left in the PM for home. Went to Lariviere for hair. Elgin to Winkler to get stitches removed. Bowdens came for the weekend. Bob and Wayne played at Geddes'. Bill and Florence called on Roy's and Vern. I picked peas. Elgin mowed hay. In PM, we played canasta. Bob and Wayne played at Cartwright. Took Bowdens to see the crop, rink, and church in the AM. After lunch to Alf Adams' 88th birthday party. Then they took us to the chalet and to call on Greg and Debbie. Bowdens called on John Linton in the AM. Elgin and I picked garden produce to send back with them. They left at 1:30. Men hang in the afternoon. I blanched Swiss chard. Went for groceries, made pies, picked peas. Elgin at church in AM, working with metal. In afternoon, men fencing. Washed, had Bob and Wayne for dinner. Elgin at church putting screws on the metal strips in AM. Men hang in the afternoon. Bob and Wayne here for dinner. Elgin finished at the church in the AM. I defrosted the deep freeze. Men working on the new building in the afternoon. Elgin painted door in AM, cultivated in afternoon. I called on Cheryl and got mail. Made 2 quarts of dill pickles. We picked strawberries and peas in the PM. Bob's left for Winnipeg at 4:20. Picked beans off of Bob's garden. Went for hair. Elgin painted door and mowed hay. McClellan's came in the PM. McNabb slept here. Elgin and I went to church. After lunch, Myrna, Mary, and I took Merrily and Shelley to camp. Bob's got home in time to set up the pool. McClellan's left at 8:30 p.m. I wonder if that's the first year we had the pool. Mary and I picked peas. They left after dinner. Bob and Wayne here for dinner. Florence Paget, 60-year-old, was at the picnic. Bob finished filling the pool. We picked the strawberries and beans and glads, washed and ironed, took a lemon pie and glads to Diana and saw the new baby. Men working on the new building. That was probably Andrea Diemel in 1978. Picked peas and strawberries. Made vegetable soup. Men got 3 rafters up on the machine shed. Elgin helping all day at sawing lumber. The family are really enjoying the pool. Colleen and I went to Brown's for apples, then to town for milk, picked beans and strawberries. Made 10 quarts of applesauce. Men got 10 more rafters up today. Went to church. We had supper at the ballpark and watched the final game. Earl and Gladys came for the evening, and Elaine came to stay a couple of days. Made strawberry jam and 7 quarts of applesauce. Elaine went to Bob's for supper. Men working on the building all afternoon and evening. Elaine and I went to town in the AM. Myrna, Merrily, and Claire Cadio came for dinner. Elaine went home after supper. Buff and Dorothy came in the PM. Colleen took Lynn to the Dr. Jack. Has cold and allergies. Washed and ironed. Picked strawberries and made angel cake. Men fixed red truck in the AM. In afternoon and PM worked on the building. Froze our first corn. I did 14 pints of applesauce for Vern. Men got most of the roof on the building. They worked till 9:30 p.m. Did corn again, baked bread, delivered 2 glad bouquets. Men fixing up the swather. Bob and Wayne played at Geddes'. Went to Larivier for hair, cleaned the house. Men started swathing wheat at noon. Bob and Wayne at roofing. Bob and Wayne played at Larivier. We all went to church, had Roy, Irma, and Vern for chicken dinner, and Leslie and Grace left for Albert's at 4:15 p.m. and we went to Finley's for supper. We picked corn and strawberries. I made crabapple sauce. Wayne putting nails in the barn siding. Men swathing and finished the roof of the building. Washed and ironed. Picked strawberries. Elgin to Dr. Jack with infection in his hand. Men swathing wheat in the afternoon and evening. Cooked jelly crab apples. Bob's to Langdon and then to Earl's for the evening. Elgin and I to Joe and Dorothy's in the PM. Went to town for groceries. Did the 4th picking of corn. Men working on machine shed. Elgin swathing in the afternoon and PM. Colleen had practice for the lodge. Elgin swathing in the afternoon and evening. Bob and Wayne working on the machine shed all day. Colleen and children entertained at the lodge. Canned 7 quarts of tomatoes, picked strawberries, men putting metal on the building. Elgin finished swathing the wheat in the afternoon. We went to Hillman's in the PM. We went to church, made 2 cranberry pies. Took it easy. In the PM, went to Bill and Jean Smith's. Bob and Colleen went to look for cranberries. Washed and ironed and picked strawberries. Men working on the building in the afternoon. Buff 2. Elgin swathing oats, and in the AM, they hauled out wheat. Picked 4 boxes of tomatoes. Elgin finished the oats by Classens this PM. Bob and Wayne were fencing and moving cattle. Went to town for shopping in the AM and called on Burl. Men working on the building all day. Buff came in the afternoon. Jean White went home with corn, etc. Took lads to Nellie, who has gotten home from a 2-month holiday in the West. Canned 7 quarts of tomatoes. Men worked on combine till 5 when they started the wheat. Men working on the building most of the day. Tried to combine wheat in the PM. Bob and Colleen went to show. I got my hair cut and set and went to call on Nellie Glenn. Okay, Elgin and I went to Melville McTaggart's funeral at Pilot Mound. Men combining in the afternoon and PM. Bob and Wayne played at Dunray. Went to church. Violet and Carol for lunch, also Burl for the day. Men combined wheat till 9 p.m. Children in the pool all evening. Gary Gore had a car accident and has his back broken. Washed and ironed, made plum jelly. Elgin combined till 10 p.m., then Bob took over. Children in the pool twice today. They combined till 12 p.m. Canned 14 quarts of tomato juice. Ivy and Pate came for tomatoes. Men had break that took 4 hours. Worked till 10 p.m. School started today. Men started combining after dinner and went till 11 p.m. I did 12 quarts of tomato juice and made jelly. I took strawberries and biscuits to Buff and Dorothy this a.m. Elgin cutting oats. Bob combined after supper. I canned tomatoes and 53 quarts now. Elgin cut the lawn in the a.m. Bob and Colleen went to Swan Lake in the a.m. Went to town for groceries. Made chilla sauce and pumpkin pies. Men combined from 4 p.m. till 11:30. Picked 2 more boxes of ripe tomatoes. Took baking to Fran Hepner in the AM. Made tomato juice. Men combined wheat from 2 p.m. till 10:45. I went to Lariviere for hair in the p.m. We all went to church. Elmer and Ethel here for lunch and supper. Geddes and Jesse came in the p.m. for tomatoes. Men finished combining wheat at 11 p.m. Did 13 quarts of tomatoes for Amy Wink and baked buns. Men repairing things in the shop. Hi, Rocky. Are you enjoying my story time? Good boy. Made bread and tomato juice and washed and ironed. Elgin went to town in the AM and worked on door frame after lunch. Bob's went to Morden. Made tomato juice for Amy. 20 quarts in all. Men hauled out the last of Bob's wheat quota. Men exchanged haircuts. Colleen came for lunch. 1 inch and a quarter of rain overnight. We went to town in AM. Violet and Bill and Florence and Bill came in the afternoon to pick tomatoes. Bob's went to Langdon today. Canned 7 quarts of chicken. Worked at washing our bedroom walls. McClellan's came for supper. En route to McNabb's. Men worked on the building today. Did 11 pints of chili sauce for Colleen. They went to Swan Lake in the AM. Got my hair set after dinner. Men worked on the building in the afternoon. Wayne and Bob played at Killarney. Went to church. Elgin washed the car. I made a cake for the traveling basket for Bob's in the PM. Colleen and I went for a walk. Glenn Wallcrafts came. Cheryl and Ken Lyon had a fire, destroyed part of their pole barn. Washed and ironed, picked the strawberries. Men working in the shop in the AM and on building in the afternoon. Made bran muffins, got in tomatoes, wrote letters. Mr. Tyndale called. Men fixing on our car. Bob got 5 new tires for the truck. Elgin and I put on 5 storm windows. I washed the walls and ceiling of the sun porch. Men hauled out wheat. Bob's got their living room ceiling stippled today and put first coat of paint on their living room walls this evening. First practice for the junior choir. We went to the dentist. $65 for me. X-ray cleaning, fluoride, triple filling, and another one. Called on Miller's and Alf after. Planted 27 geraniums tonight. Bob's putting second coat of their living room this PM. We did some more storm windows in the AM. I washed kitchen curtains. Eleanor to Heather's birthday party. Men combined oats till 11 p.m. and started them at 1. Wayne away to a freshy dance. Washed and ironed. Brought in my onions and the rest of the tomatoes. Men finished oats, took Ethel to Amy's after dinner, and went for her in the evening. Went to Lariviere in the AM. Made 2 loaves into dressing. Made biscuits. Men doing oats till 9 p.m. Bob and Colleen to Balder to Archibald's wedding. Went to church, then to Pilot Mound Smorgasbord and to Hillman's till 9 p.m. Brought Ethel home for a few days. Bob and Wayne combined some oats. Baked bread and made 5 quarts of soup. Took up glads. Men fixing combine in the AM. Got doing oats from 2:30 till 9:20. Picked enough strawberries for dinner. Took up the rest of the glads. Took 14 colored ones to Roy. Took Ethel back to the lodge. Men fixing in AM and finished the oats. Went for groceries and called on Nellie in the AM. We cleaned our big windows and cleaned up the garden. Bob's to Langdon and Manitou. Cleaned the back porch. Men made big door for the machine shed. Went to Judy Harm's shower in the PM. Went to Lariviere in the AM. McNabb's came for dinner. We went with them to Maida for beef steak. Bob and Wayne played at Lariviere. Went to church after 38 relatives and friends attended Elgin's 80th birthday party. Ethel Garland died this AM. Washed and ironed. Men getting ready to do sunflowers. Cut the tops off the glads. Made tomato for soup. Men repairing forage harvester most of the day. Got started cutting corn at 5 p.m. Men worked at corn all day till 9:20 p.m. I went for groceries and called on Cheryl Lyon for an hour in the a.m. Finished cutting tops of glads. Walked the lane twice with Colleen. Men worked at corn all day till 9:10 p.m. Went to the UCW with 9 present. Colleen to Morden, walked 1.5 miles this p.m., worked on my navy skirt. Violet had ear operation in St. Boniface Hospital. Men worked at corn all day to 10:30. I called on Bonnie Yeoman this a.m., got in parsley for winter. We walked 1.25 miles in the p.m., started some plants. Men worked at corn till 5:30 when knife broke. I went to Lariviere for 3. We walked 1.25 miles in the p.m. Bob and Wayne played at Darlingford. Went to church, Thanksgiving service. Church tastefully decorated. We were to Bob's for Thanksgiving supper and the evening. Took up the dahlias in the a.m. Men finished the corn today. Also, we took up the potatoes. I can't make out the number. 61 bags in all. Could that be right? It looks more like 11. Anyway, they took up the potatoes. Bob worked up the cornfield in the p.m. Wayne killed a badger. Washed and ironed. Elgin disking all day. Bob packing silage. Bob to fire hall meeting in the p.m. I walked a mile tonight. Fred Lyon's barn, pole barn, and bales burned. Dug half of our carrots, went to town, and then to Judy's for a visit. Men got ready to cut straw. As it was too windy, they worked at the big door for the shed. Took up the rest of the carrots. Colleen and I had a mile walk. Cooked pumpkin and worked with dahlias. Men worked on doors as it was too damp to cut straw. Got my hair set in the a.m., made pumpkin loaves. We went to Lariviere fowl supper. Then to Farewell for Bergen's. Good crowd. Elgin cultivating all day. Bob and Wayne fixing granaries for sunflowers. I am busy getting food ready for Doreen and family. Bob and Wayne go to Portage to play. Went to church, then had Doreen Fiali and family for supper, also Bob's. Elgin cultivating all day. Bob fixing the tractor heater. I washed and ironed. 4-H organization meeting. Karen joined also Lynn for her 3rd year. I made 5.5 quarts of soup. Elgin cultivating till noon and again in the evening. They bailed for a few hours and I walked 1.5 miles in the p.m. Went for groceries. Called on Nellie in the a.m. Baked bread. We cleaned and oiled the dehumidifier in the p.m. Myrna called for a long chat. Elgin cultivated all day. Bob went to Bergen's sale in the afternoon. We took away the crabs and marigolds, etc. I went for the milk. Henry Harms did sunflowers today till 11 p.m. Colleen took family for dentistry. Elgin on the land all day. Made buns and muffins. Finished all the sunflowers. John Harms making large, round bales for Bob. Bob and Wayne played at Minto. Colleen took family for eyes. Bob and Wayne spreading shale. Elgin cultivated in the a.m. We went to Wilbur's for the weekend. Bob and Wayne played at Ridgeville. We went to Trinity Church, called on it's either Bowden's or Bowlers, and then Gail and Bruce left for home at 4 and got home at 6:15. Bob's to Langdon for supper. Washed and ironed. 52 loads of gravel dumped here this a.m. Elgin cultivating all day. Bob's leveling the yard. Finished cleaning up the old flowers, etc. Elgin disking sunflowers. Bob fixing tractor in the a.m. and helping put up the, I think it's frame for the fire hall. Colleen came for lunch, went for a mile walk, men exchanged haircuts in the PM. Finally took in my 4 cabbage, made biscuits, cleaned upstairs windows, Elgin disking, Bob bringing in round bales, went for a walk. Went to Vern's and for groceries, made buns, had Karen and Eleanor while Bob's went to Winnipeg. Elgin on land all day, Bob to Langdon after lunch. Dad and Bob took the truck to Morden and got 4 new tires for his car. I got my hair cut and set. We all went to Earl Booker's farewell potluck supper. Bob's left for Oxbow at 10:30. Elgin put new metal weather strip on the side door and finished disking the sunflowers land. Went to church. Violet and Bill came in the afternoon. We had chicken supper and played canasta in the PM. Bob's got home at 6:30. Hillman's left at 2 p.m. We had parsley pie for dinner. Elgin finished stripping side doors. Bob to Langdon and finished getting the round bales. Washed and ironed. Men cutting straw. Francis at Bob's. Lynn at Classen's. Bob took the kids Halloweening. 27 called here. Got groceries and went to visit Nettie Gertson. Elgin disking. Jack and Terry arrived for supper and the night. Jack and Terry left for Roy's at 2:15. Went to UCW at Judy's with 12 present. In PM, went to Lori Lawson's shower. Good attendance. Bob to Langdon and got his truck home from Morden. Cleaned our big windows in the AM. I went for my hair at 2. Men working on the building. I made 8 quarts of vegetable soup. Bob to John Harms to work on the rafters for the fire hall. Made 2 apple pies and muffins. Men leveling shale in the afternoon. Gary and Debbie came for supper. We went to Jessie's in the PM. Her psoriasis is terrible. Oh. Very windy. We went to church. Muriel and Harry Culp here for dinner. Gary and Debbie and Tyler went back in the afternoon. Washed and ironed, got pumpkins ready for canning. Bob finished getting in the large bales. Elgin and Bob attended official board at Snowflake. Canned 10 quarts of pumpkin for Colleen. Eleanor and I went for a walk, Elgin cultivating and Bob helping with the fire hall. I did some sewing. Pearl came in the AM. Bob at fire hall all day. Elgin finished cultivating and fixed the car. Eleanor and I went for a mile walk. Went to town in the AM. After dinner, went to Pilot Mound with Dorothy. In PM to Bob's for lunch. We got 7 quarts of pumpkin ready. Bob and Colleen to Langdon in the AM. Sorted drawers in the AM. Made an apple cake. Went for a walk. Bob helped John Harms in the AM. Men working machine shed doors in the afternoon. Bob and Colleen went to Pilot Mound dance. Altamont Orchestra. Men hung one of the big doors on the shed. We left for McClellan's after supper. Elaine was home. Bob and Wayne played at Crystal City. We went to church at Altona after we had a delicious dinner for our 53rd anniversary. We left for home at 5, called on Elmer Dews. It snowed on the way home. Made our reservations for Edmonton. Washed, ironed, and made biscuits. Elgin working on shop, sorting and cleaning up. Bob to Langdon in the afternoon. Made pumpkin muffins and pie and cooked up 3 pumpkins. Men got the second big door hung. Bob sold 10 head of cattle and had 1 butchered. Men working on the shed doors. We are getting ready to go to Edmonton. Bonnie Yeomans and children called in the AM. Wayne and Lynn came over to bid us goodbye. Bob and Colleen brought tapes over and had coffee in the evening. Left for McClellan's at 8:20. They took us to the airport, got to Edmonton at 3:40. Eleanor and Edith and George were at the Riviera Hotel to meet us. Okay, so then it goes into their trip to Edmonton. Left McClellan's at 2:30, shopped at Winkler, got home at 5:40, went to 4-H bingo in our hall. Got things back to normal after our holiday. Men worked a few hours at the building in the afternoon. Bob and Wayne played at Killarney. Went to church, watched the Grey Cup, went to Ken and Letha's this afternoon. Came home by Lariviere, 2 inches of snow fell and 1 more overnight. Washed and ironed. Elgin worked on the church books all day. Bob went to Langdon. We watched a good play in the PM. Did the mending. Elgin in-house all day. Made apple pudding for us and Bob's supper. Wrote cards and letters this evening. Elgin went to Lariviere for a tune-up for the car, $166. I made 9 quarts of vegetable soup. Men went to the annual pool meeting. Baked bread and cookies and wrote letters. Elgin went to town for supplies. Bob installed the chimney at the shop. We went to Lariviere in the AM, made an angel cake. In the PM, we went to the Christmas party at Manitou. Made an angel cake. Mary and children came for lunch. McClellan's came for supper and the night. Elgin and I went to church. McNabbs and McClellan's left for home at 2 p.m. We took it easy for the rest of the day. Bob's went to Glen Wallcraft's. Baked all day. Wrote letters in the PM. Bob went to Langdon. Baked cookies and brownies. Wrote letters. Bob working on the fire hall. Elgin in the house all day. Bought 50 pounds of fish from Lloyd Seaward. Cleaned a fish for dinner. We went to Manitou, called on Moores and Nellie Glenn. Wrote letters in the PM. Clarence phoned us. UCW bake dainty sale and Christmas tea in church. Successful with only a fair attendance. Bob bought a snowblower. Wilbur here for dinner. Cleaned a fish. Elgin to Manitou for muffler for car. Bob and Wayne played at Killarney. Went to Lariviere for hair in the AM. Dave Gallant died. We went to Hillman's for supper. Bob and Wayne played at Morris. We went to church, White Gift Sunday. Finished the Christmas letters. We listened to the play The Gathering. Real good. Got ready for UCW meeting. 14 members and 4 visitors present. Bob's got their photos taken at Credit Union. Washed and ironed. Bob and Ken Lyon to interview Crystal City Council regarding fire hall. Elgin in-house most of the day. Went to Morden to Dr. Jenkins. Bought shoes. Had supper with Earl and Gladys. Cleaned a fish in the AM. Made biscuits and cookies. Colleen and I went for a walk. Bob and Elgin spent the day fixing the Massey tractor. Went to Pilot Mound. Had lunch with Jessie on her 77th birthday. Larry came for supper and the night. Bob and Wayne played at Wawanesa. David Hedrick came for supper. Larry went home after dinner. I cleaned a fish and baked biscuits. Men working on the Massey tractor. Earl and Helen Ann Geddes had a baby born this AM. Bob and Wayne played at Crystal City. Went to church, called on Roy and Irma. Went to Finley's for supper. Bob had Hepner's for supper and evening. Men working on tractor and truck load of sunflowers went to Altona. Bob got $12 for a large steer and a cow. Maybe $1,200. Made fruit bread. Vacuumed pool room. Cleaned a fish. Men fixing tractor. Bob blowing snow. Judy called us in the PM. Cleaned a fish. Men got the tractor finished by noon. Elgin and I called on Nellie in the afternoon. Choir practice and skating. Went for haircut and set in the AM. Took baking to Walter Mary Booker's. Went to the school concert. It was a success. Made hermits. Cleaned a fish. Elgin put new covering around the utility room sink. Bob and Colleen and Wayne went to Langdon. Bob took their family to Morden for shopping. Made 4 dozen buns to take to McClellan's. Bob and Colleen took their children to skate. Went to Christmas service. Left for McClellan's at 2:35. Had a lovely smorgasbord. Then 11 of us went to Altona for Christmas Eve carol service. Had a nice Christmas at McClellan's. Elaine and Paul went home in the PM. We played cards in the PM. Santa was very good to everybody. Myrna, Shirley, Marilee, and Eric went cross-country skiing. After lunch, we left for home, had a supper with Albert and Elida. Bob and Wayne and Lynn skiing. Eleanor stayed with us while Colleen and Lynn got perms. Bob and Wayne curled. Elgin worked at the church books. I made oatmeal squares and read, etc. Curling is called off, made buns and pumpkin pies. In PM, we watched a play, Going My Way. Bob cleaned the yard and lane after the storm. Hazel, Jack, Alice Ann, and Rick came for dinner. Bob and Colleen went to Winnipeg for Karen, left at 5:30 p.m. Went to Lariviere in the AM for hair. Elgin to doctor for cold medication. Bob came over to settle up in the PM. McNabbs got back to Merle's by 6 p.m. Mary, Elgin, and I went to church. We had a good dinner, and they went to Merle's at 4 p.m. Bob and Wayne played at Pilot Mound. Grandma had recorded that Dad had played for 43 dances. She wrote, Wayne and Bob played for 43 dances, Bob with the Nomads for 3 of them, I think. And I want to sit down and eat all of Grandma's baking and canning. And I'm sure Mom was on the other side of the trees doing her share of baking and canning. So that, my friends, is what was going on while the 3 generations were building the machine shed. There was a very busy time, and nobody was lazy. Everybody was very busy doing a lot of things. And by the end of the year, I think the last entry on the hanging the doors was about mid-November. So by now, all of the machinery is out of the elements and tucked in nice and warm under the shelter of the machine shed. So like we talked about, that must have been an excellent feeling to have that project completed. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the story. We'll see you next time.
Well, it must have been awesome to shut the door on that for the first winter, that you had everything in there. That must have felt great.
It felt pretty good, yeah. Mm-hmm. More pictures,
Yeah.
we didn't have the cameras back then to work with.
There's one picture of the machine shed with the last bit of metal that hasn't been put on yet, remember?
Right.
I'll take that one out.
Now it's time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin. They would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of their hospitality. Hillbilly, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. Here. Now it's time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin. They would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of their hospitality. Hillbilly, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. Here?